So as you know, I've recently announced a new project called Our Spell is Steel. I'm going to go through what it's generally about, as well as the choices I made that led to its creation, the what and the why. First, the what. Now, this is not super clear if you only follow my YouTube channel, but if you know my stuff on Twitter, you know that I like RWBY. I like it a lot. I didn't mention it much for Remnants because the ships are not that big a topic compared to everything else. But yeah, I draw a lot of it. I also like action, and I like mythology a lot. I was one of those kids who had those encyclopedia series at home and kept reading the parts about the Greek gods and those type of myths. I think an unreasonable amount about fairy tale allusions when making my RWBY OCs. So, I wanted to make something that combined all of those things. And technically, I did have that with other projects I've done before, like Voyager, which is another original setting of mine. I definitely was considering going all in on Voyager as a project instead, instead of making one from scratch. But it didn't really meet the right requirements I had for it. For one, Voyager is very, let's say, family friendly, and also it's a lot more ambitious. The world is much huger with so much potential for lore and stories, a lot more, and I have a lot of personal attachment to it. It's basically just a lot more high investment overall. For something like this though, I needed something that was a bit more experimental and not too ambitious, but still something I could pour my creative efforts into. So I started from scratch, pretty much, piecing together characters and elements from many project ideas I had over the years, and Our Spell is Steel is the result. There were quite a few characters and scenes shown in the video, and I recorded a lot of time lapses for most of the drawings, so I hope to make a few more videos just showing these time lapses, showing me drawing this art, and while explaining some of these characters and concepts and sharing about this world I've made up. But the main cast of this series are the 4 girls that you see at the end of that concept video. They are Alexis, Gwyn, Nicole, and Isolaire. And the narrator is their mentor, Sensei. Yes, that's what she's actually called. They are all Mancers, and specifically Iron Mancers, who are basically mage knights. The whole setting is one defined by magic, from the empires that the Mancers built and the wars they waged, the godlike beings and unspeakable abominations they've summoned and created. It has cute girls doing badass stuff, it has RWBY, it has cool monster designs, fantasy drip, weapons used in tandem with magic, basically all the stuff I wish I saw used and combined more in the media I consumed, so I decided to make it myself. The planned format is, several short comic dub style videos, voice acted, kind of like, the Remnants videos or the Voyager comic dub that you've already seen, so it's pretty much standard fare for my channel's content. So one might wonder, why didn't I just do this with RWBY Remnants, as in just going full speed ahead with it, production wise and all that. And of course, the audience and demand was certainly there, and still is. And to be honest, I've always considered whether to go all in on RWBY Remnants as a primary means of supporting myself financially. But being a derivative fan work, I could never really fully commit to it because, of course, legally speaking, I would always be walking a knife's edge, and creatively speaking, there's only so much I can really explore before it, doesn't feel much like RWBY anymore or feel like canon. And I know that you guys have only really seen one episode of Remnants, and I apologize for that, but really, an unfathomable amount of planning goes into it, almost cripplingly so at times. There's so many drawings I made that I can't use or really show in like a canon capacity because the story has changed so much, and there's miles and miles of Google Docs and hours of team discussions picking apart and rebuilding every character arc and plotline in the show that I really can't realistically show because it's not part of the actual story. And while limitations do breed creativity, and the limit of working within an established work is a great example of this, in the end you can only really spread your wings so far. And I don't like making people wait so long just for a story either. I don't like making other videos when I know people are waiting on, the so-called main content of my channel, which, up to this point was RWBY Remnants. So I don't really post videos about other topics that I like very often, even if I already have like the script ready. This causes a cycle that just leads to content drought on my channel for long periods of time. And frankly speaking, I may have to reevaluate how I approach this AU moving forward. Whether constructing a detailed script for every episode through like multiple seasons is truly viable for me. Because before this, I thought I had all the time in the world. I thought I could take my time to tell this story because I still genuinely care a lot about it and sharing that what I imagined with the world. But then something happened and I realized time is a very fickle thing. I'll be briefly talking about some very heavy stuff about death, so if you want, you can skip ahead to the next timestamp chapter. I made a community post about this, but for those who don't know, my mother had just passed away last month, and it turned things upside down, to say the least. I had relied on her a lot, both consciously and unconsciously. On one hand, I felt like I was on borrowed time. I knew that one day I would still be around and she wouldn't, and I was always aware of that. But on the other, it also always felt like she'd always be there. Living like that, it honestly felt like a limbo, like you're stuck between stop and go, unsure of how your life would look like without such a pillar to hold it up, but too afraid to find out and too afraid to, step out and live your life without that pillar. And when you lose someone like that, it's always sooner than you think. And I thought a lot about Monty during that time. And it's the words "keep moving forward," words that I heard repeated so many times it often felt like just a feel-good sentimental phrase, But it was those words that carried me through a very dark night, when my mind was tormented and I could barely sleep because of the thoughts that invaded my head. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys, the night that my mother died, I thought I was going to die too. I felt trapped, and keep moving forward, I repeated those words to myself. And slowly but surely, it flipped a switch on my outlook, because I just couldn't die. I had to keep living no matter how I felt. And my mother didn't die so that I could join her. She would want me to grow, and grow in every sense of the word. And knowing that pulled me through that night. And now, I live alone in an empty house with nothing but my ideas and my thoughts to fill that silence. And I'm not telling you this to garner pity, but just so you know where my head's at. I have options for work that I can fall back on, so that's entirely safe. But before I make that choice, I want to prove myself. And this is something that I've been thinking about for a long time. I want to prove that I can make something entirely from scratch and have it stand on its own. Enough that possibly it can even pay my bills and put food on my table. I don't expect it to be wildly popular or anything, but I am taking a gamble of sorts. I basically put everything I loved into that video, all my skills as an artist, about the specific things that I liked, that I wanted to see in a story. I'm basically telling the world, hey, if you think this idea is badass, you could pay me to make more of it. And if it doesn't work out, that's totally fine too. And I'm telling you all this, but really, please do not sacrifice or drain yourself on my account either. I want people who are able to support me to, support this endeavor. And I'm constantly surprised by the people who have so generously supported my work up to this point, even when I've barely posted at all. And for that reason, I really want to thank again all of my patrons, current and past patrons, who have supported me even a little during this time. And especially those who were still supporting me even when I had basically posted nothing for months on end. Because, I could give all the excuses I want that, I was planning all this stuff, there's a lot of writing, there's a lot of behind the scenes work. But in the end, the results speak for themselves, and I hope that with this project, I can deliver much more. That, as hard to believe it is that something that I draw or make would be so beneficial to people, I'll just have to believe it and make as much of it as I can, because if that's what you guys want to see, then sure, will show more of it to you. More of how I view things, how I make stories, how I create characters. If that is what you like, then I will gladly provide it. So let's see how this experiment goes. So more videos to come very shortly. And as always, thank you for watching.